Some of these boats were built when gas was cheap, Elvis was alive, and Wi-Fi sounded like a fishing lure. Half a century later, they're still out there, still cruising, still making modern yachts look fragile. Here's the bit that will surprise you. Most of these boats were considered outdated decades ago. Yet today, people are paying good money to live on them. By the end of this video, you'll see why every one of these old legends has a story that begins with "everyone said it wouldn't last" and ends with "but it did." These are 15 old liveaboard motor yachts that were made to last forever. The Albin 43 is what happens when practicality meets quiet confidence. It's not flashy, not fast, and that's exactly why owners love it. Built in Taiwan with a solid fiberglass hull, twin Lehman diesels, and teak trim that actually ages gracefully, this trawler became a go-to choice for serious liveaboards who wanted to cross oceans without needing a pit crew. It's a 43-footer that feels like a small apartment. Wide salon, 2 or 3 cabins, a galley that doesn't double as a hallway, and engine rooms you can actually sit in. It's also known for being unbelievably economical. At 7 to 8 knots, it just sips diesel like it's paying for it out of pocket. The semi-displacement hull keeps it stable in rough water, and it's one of those boats that quietly racks up 5,000-hour engines and keeps going. Some owners joke they'll be buried in theirs, because why move when your house already floats? There's the couple who cruised from Washington to Panama without a hiccup, and another who turned theirs into a floating Airbnb because guests wouldn't stop asking to stay longer. That's the Albin charm. It's slow, sensible, and somehow irresistible to everyone who steps aboard. If you think that was impressive, wait till you see what comes next. Some of these boats weren't just homes, they were legends. So before you scroll, hit subscribe, because what's coming next might just make you question every modern yacht you've ever seen. If trawlers had royalty, the Grand Banks 42 would be the old money Duke with teak decks and spotless engine rooms. This boat didn't just define the trawler category, it practically invented it. Originally hand-built in mahogany before switching to fiberglass, the 42 Classic offered a balance that few boats have ever matched. Traditional lines, practical layouts, and craftsmanship that makes even modern yachts look a bit lazy. Inside, it's like stepping into a nautical time capsule. Gleaming joinery, wide windows, and just enough creaks to remind you it's alive. Owners often describe it as the world's slowest moving mansion. At 8 knots, you can enjoy coffee, a sunrise, and an entire conversation before needing to touch the throttle. It's efficient too. Twin Lehman diesels often last decades if treated kindly. The real proof of its reputation, many are still cruising today, and used prices remain stubbornly high. Ask a Grand Banks owner if they'd sell, and they'll usually smile before answering. These boats have crossed continents, hosted families, and turned rainy anchorages into cozy retreats. The Grand Banks 42 isn't flashy, it's dependable, stately, and deeply human. The kind of boat that makes you slow down, pour another coffee, and enjoy the journey instead of the destination. If yachts had resumes, the Hatteras 53 would read like a corporate executive's LinkedIn profile. Experienced, polished, and still outperforming the younger crowd. Launched in the late 60s and refined through the 80s, it's one of the most respected liveaboard motor yachts ever built. Solid fiberglass hull? Check. Engine room you can actually stand in? Absolutely. A salon big enough to host a small wedding? You bet. Hatteras didn't build light boats, they built fortresses. The 53 is heavy, proud, and feels indestructible in rough seas. Twin Detroit diesels rumble below like a pair of old lions, loud but loyal, pushing this 60,000-pound beast at an honest 15 knots when you need it, and sipping fuel gently at hull speed when you don't. Every inch screams longevity, from the thick rails to the bulletproof hardware. Inside, it's all about comfort and space. 3 staterooms, 3 heads, and enough storage to make a minimalist cry. Many have been refitted into floating condos, complete with modern amenities, yet somehow the soul of the 70s still lingers in the vanished wood and brass lamps. The Hatteras 53 isn't just a yacht, it's a statement. It says, "I'm here to stay." Decades later, that statement still holds true. The Chris-Craft 410 Commander is the kind of boat that proves you don't need to be enormous to live comfortably. You just need smart design and a lot of fiberglass. Introduced in the early 70s, it was part of the Commander lineage that made Chris-Craft a household name. The 410's flush deck profile and spacious aft cabin made it feel far bigger than it looked, and to this day, it's one of the most beloved classic motor yachts for long-term living. Step aboard, and it's all unmistakably Chris-Craft. Solid joinery, broad windows, and that old-school American style that somehow feels both classy and tough. Many owners still swear by the twin Crusader or Detroit diesel engines that power them, describing them as grumpy in the morning but loyal all day. There's enough headroom for tall folks, enough deck space for evening drinks, and enough storage to make a small house jealous. If you walk through a marina and see a 410 still gleaming under its awning, chances are the owner has had it for decades. It's that kind of boat. Dependable, comfortable, and timeless. The 410 Commander isn't about speed or flash. It's about that quiet satisfaction of coming home to something that never lets you down. If you've ever wandered through a Pacific Northwest marina, you've probably seen a Tollycraft 40 quietly rocking at the dock, looking like it could tell 100 stories. Built in Washington state when boats were still designed with soul, the Tollycraft 40 tri-cabin became the dream boat for liveaboards who valued simplicity, comfort, and longevity above all else. The design is instantly recognizable. A sturdy hull, a roomy aft deck perfect for morning coffee, and a layout that somehow squeezes in 3 distinct cabins without feeling cramped. Everything about it feels deliberate. The hull is thick enough to take a beating, yet shaped well enough to cruise comfortably through sloppy water. Many owners joke that the boat handles bad weather better than they do. Inside, you'll find what feels like a floating cabin, teak accents, big windows, and a warm, lived-in charm. Twin gas or diesel engines hum away dependably, and when you open the salon windows at anchor, there's this old-world coziness modern boats can't replicate. It's not sleek or trendy. It's steady. The Tollycraft 40 isn't just a yacht. It's a friend that's been around long enough to know all your habits and still likes you anyway. The DeFever 44 is one of those boats that makes you question why anyone ever needed bigger. Designed by the legendary naval architect Arthur DeFever, it's a classic long-range cruiser that looks ready to cross oceans, and many have. The lines are unmistakably traditional: high bow, Portuguese bridge, and a profile that practically says, "I was built to go somewhere important." Built in Taiwan, the 44 offshore cruiser earned a reputation for being overbuilt in all the right ways. Heavy fiberglass layup, deep fuel tanks, and a hull that doesn't flinch at bad weather. At a steady 8 knots, it'll take you hundreds of miles between fill-ups. It's the kind of boat you could point toward Alaska or the Caribbean and know it'll just keep going. Inside, it's the definition of old-school liveaboard comfort. Big salon, full galley, and a stateroom that doesn't require yoga to climb into. Many DeFever owners have lived aboard for years, calling it the perfect balance between seaworthy cruiser and floating home. The boat doesn't scream luxury, it whispers endurance. Even after decades, the DeFever 44 keeps its dignity. It doesn't chase trends or noise, it simply does what it was built to do, safely, efficiently, and forever. The Marine Trader 44 is what happens when comfort meets common sense. Built in Taiwan during the trawler boom, it became one of the most popular liveaboard cruisers of its time. Not because it was the flashiest, but because it made every inch count. Step aboard and you'll immediately get it. Wide decks, a shaded aft cabin, and interiors that feel more like a seaside cottage than a yacht. Powered typically by a single 4 Lehman diesel. The 44 wasn't made to race dolphins, it was made to outlast them. The boat lofts along happily at 7 knots, burning about a gallon an hour, and while some models came with twin engines, most owners still swear by the single for its simplicity and reliability. Many of these boats have made the Great Loop multiple times without major drama, their only complaint being how long it takes to finish because everyone keeps inviting them for dock drinks. Inside, there's a cozy blend of teak, brass, and practicality. Big galley, generous storage, and an aft stateroom that gives you genuine privacy. The marine trader isn't about status, it's about staying power, and in a world obsessed with speed, that's a rare kind of luxury. If you think the marine trader was built to last, wait till you see what's next. Some of these old yachts are tougher than their owners' marriage vows. Hit subscribe, and let's keep cruising through 15 old Liveaboard motor yachts that were made to last forever. If there's a boat that defines dependable little workhorse, it's the Monk 36. Designed by Ed Monk Jr., this trawler quickly earned a cult following among practical cruisers and full-time liveaboards. At 36 feet, it's small enough for a couple to handle comfortably, yet big enough to feel like a real home on the water. Think of it as the trawler world's version of a well-loved pickup. Simple, rugged, and nearly impossible to dislike. The Monk's design philosophy is all about seaworthiness. A full keel, protected prop, and high bow give it a sense of confidence in choppy water. Owners love to joke that their Monks get nervous if they're not moving. They're quiet, steady, and unbelievably fuel efficient, sometimes hitting over 4 nautical miles per gallon at a relaxed 7 knots. Step below deck, and it's all teak warmth and clever storage. Everything feels hand-built and purposeful, from the wide steps to the sturdy grab rails. Many still roam the Pacific Northwest and the Great Loop today, often with couples who bought them decades ago and simply never saw a reason to switch. The Monk 36 doesn't age, it just settles deeper into its role as the ultimate floating cabin. The Bayliner 3870, later renamed the 3888, is one of those boats that quietly proved the critics wrong. When it debuted in the early 80s, purists scoffed at the idea of a budget liveaboard. Then Bayliner sold hundreds. Why? Because the 3870 was comfortable, clever, and way more durable than anyone expected. Its most famous feature is the mid-cabin berth tucked under the salon, an ingenious use of space that turned a 38-footer into a true 2-stateroom home. Add in twin diesel power, an enormous salon, and a flybridge big enough for a small gathering, and you suddenly had a boat that felt twice its size. They're everywhere today, especially on the west coast, because they just work. The hulls are solid, the systems are simple, and the fuel burn is low enough to keep you cruising all season without breaking the bank. Many owners say they bought one as a starter boat, and just never upgraded. It's that comfortable. The Bayliner 3870 may not have the prestige of a Grand Banks or De Fever, but it's earned its reputation through years of faithful service. Sometimes the smartest boats are the ones that never tried to impress anyone. The Ocean Alexander 420 Sundeck is the kind of boat that makes you wonder how something so elegant can also be so practical. Built in Taiwan during the late 80s and 90s, it's one of those designs that never really went out of style. The sweeping flybridge, generous sundeck, and warm teak interior made it a favorite among long-term cruisers who wanted luxury without losing seaworthiness. The hull is pure Ocean Alexander. Heavy, hand-laid fiberglass with a semi-displacement design that feels solid even when the sea gets grumpy. Twin Caterpillar or Ford Lehman diesels provide a steady push at 8 to 10 knots, and at those speeds the 420 glides more than it moves. The sundeck layout was genius for liveaboards, offering an outdoor living space that wasn't just an afterthought. It became the social hub of the boat. Inside, the craftsmanship is pure artistry. The saloon feels open and airy, with big windows and a layout that invites conversation. Everything about it feels calm and deliberate. These yachts have aged beautifully. Well-kept examples still look like floating boutique apartments. Ocean Alexander didn't build boats for fashion, they built them for decades. The 420 proves that comfort, quality, and longevity can all live in the same hull. Before the polished modern Ocean Alexanders took over the luxury market, there was this, an honest, seaworthy 43-footer that made liveaboard life feel like a gentle adventure. The OA43 was one of the early success stories for the brand, combining traditional trawler lines with exceptional build quality. It wasn't built to dazzle, it was built to endure. From the outside, it's all classic charm. high bow, covered side decks, and that unmistakable teak handrail running the length of the boat. Step aboard and you'll find one of the most efficient layouts in its class. The aft cabin feels private and homely, the forward cabin comfortable for guests, and the saloon spacious enough for weeks at anchor. It's the kind of boat where you start a small library on board because it feels like home. Powered by twin diesels, most still hum along today with quiet confidence. Many of these boats spent their lives exploring the Inside Passage or coastal US waters, taking families north each summer and back south for winter. The Ocean Alexander 43 doesn't try to impress you. It earns your respect the longer you live aboard. Few boats have the kind of reputation the Uniflight 42 carries. Born out of the rugged shipyards of Washington State, Uniflight built its boats like tanks. Literally, since they also built patrol boats for the US Navy. The 42 double cabin inherited that same DNA. Thick fiberglass, no-nonsense design, and a hull that can take a pounding without complaint. At first glance, it's pure Americana, a straightforward, handsome cruiser that doesn't rely on gimmicks. Step inside and it feels like stepping into a lake house that just happens to float. The salon is open and bright, the aft cabin generous, and everything feels solid underfoot. These boats were made to live on, not just visit on weekends. Power came from Twin Crusaders or Detroits, and they're known to keep running long after the paint fades. Many 42s have been lovingly refitted by second and third owners, who recognize that beneath the aging exterior is a hull that refuses to quit. The Uniflight 42 is the definition of old-school reliability. A bit rough around the edges, but completely unshakable. It's the kind of yacht that outlasts trends, owners, and even a few marinas. A survivor in every sense of the word. The Bertram 42 is one of those boats that makes you feel safe the moment you step aboard. Bertram's reputation was built on offshore toughness, and the 42 motor yacht carried that same DNA into a comfortable liveaboard cruiser. It's got the unmistakable Bertram profile, clean lines, high bow, and a hull that can handle conditions that would make most boats turn around. Built during the company's golden years, the 42 combines sport fishing durability with genuine comfort. Inside, you get a salon large enough for long evenings, a proper galley, and cabins that don't feel like compromises. Twin Detroit diesels give it just enough punch to outrun bad weather, and owners often remark how solid everything feels. No rattles, no shortcuts, just classic American boat building at its finest. Plenty of 42s are still cruising today, some converted entirely for full-time living. There's something satisfying about a boat that doesn't need to prove itself anymore. The Bertram 42 is like that older captain at the dock, quiet, confident, and always ready to go back out when the younger boats are still checking the forecast. There's something deeply charming about the Pacemaker 40. It's not fancy, not loud, and not trying to impress anyone. But that's exactly why so many owners still adore it. Built in New Jersey during the height of the American motor yacht boom, the Pacemaker 40 was known for its honest construction, generous interior, and the ability to turn long weekends into long stays. The flush deck layout gives you an enormous salon for the size, and the aft cabin offers real privacy, a rare luxury in a 40-footer of the era. Power came from either gas or diesel inboards, both versions known for being easy to maintain and easy to love. The hull is solid fiberglass, with the kind of heft that smooths out chop without complaint. Inside it feels like a boat built for slow mornings. Coffee on the aft deck, sunlight filtering through the curtains, and the soft creak of dock lines in the breeze. It's an unpretentious, reliable liveaboard that captures what boating used to be. Simple pleasures, long journeys, and zero drama. Before Viking became synonymous with million-dollar sport fishers, they built something far more personal, the Viking 43 double cabin. It was their first fiberglass motor yacht, and it still stands as one of their best. Sturdy, elegant, and unmistakably vintage, this 43-footer represents that rare mix of strength and sophistication that Viking was just beginning to master. The hull has Viking's trademark modified V-design, giving it a smoother, faster ride than most trawlers of its day. It's comfortable at 9 knots, but can push well into the teens when the mood strikes. Inside, the boat feels warm and balanced. Rich wood cabinetry, wide wide windows, and a layout that somehow makes every space feel open. The aft stateroom especially is a favourite. Spacious, quiet, and framed by real craftsmanship. Many of these yachts have spent decades as floating homes, loved by owners who see no reason to move on. The Viking 43 doesn't shout. It simply lasts. It's proof that when something is built right the first time, it doesn't need to change. A classic yacht with real presence. Solid, serene, and built to outlive its trends. If you enjoyed this voyage through boating history, hit subscribe and join us again next week. More vintage legends, more real stories, right here on 15 old liveaboard motor yachts that were made to last forever.